Deep within the jungles of Central America lies an ancient city, Tikal, once the capital of a mighty civilization. But today, it's overgrown with vines and trees. The great metropolis is now just a crumbling collection of stone ruins. So how did this once great civilization fall? What happened to the ancient Maya? The Maya civilization thrived in what is now southern Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, El Salvador, and Honduras for nearly 2,000 years. They were known for their art, architecture, and writing. And at its peak, the Maya civilization had over 6 million people and controlled much of the Yucatan Peninsula. Today, though, only a few thousand Maya people remain. There are many theories out there about why such a seemingly powerful civilization fell into obscurity. Some believe war led to the downfall, while others think it was climate change or disease. But the truth is more complicated than that. The Maya collapse is one of the most important unsolved mysteries in archaeology. So when did this decline begin? Historians use the year 250 AD as a rough guide because that's when Maya rulers stopped making grand pronouncements about being appointed by the gods and began talking about staying alive through hard times. This may seem like a small detail, but it shows the change in mindset among Maya elites. In fact, Maya rulers went from claiming divine authority over their subjects to claiming their subjects' loyalty in their hour of need. It might not sound like much, but it's a big step away from divinity to mere mortality. For example, the king of Tikal, known as Yaxcucalha, commissioned a stele to commemorate his accession to the throne. Stelae were stone monuments carved with hieroglyphic inscriptions which served as historical records. This stele is Monument A, and it dates back to 378 AD. The monument shows the king standing next to 2 captive warriors he defeated in battle. He's wearing the elaborate dress of a high-status individual and a headdress made from feathers. On the back of the stele are 4 glyphs that read, "He is the overlord. He has subjugated the rebellious." This is a typical inscription on a stele and shows the Maya ruler as a warrior king. But move forward 200 years, and the kingship changes dramatically. In 562 AD, King Uknumtuk's stele, Monument E, has him shown with no warriors behind him, no captives, and no sign of battle. He wears a loincloth and sandals instead of the fancy garments worn by his predecessors. The back of the monument reads, "He became king by hereditary succession. His father gave him the kingdom. He pacified the provinces, both near and far, who had rebelled against his father." Here we see the shift from divine right to inheritance, and from warrior king to administrator. In fact, scholars believe that the Maya collapse actually wasn't a collapse at all, but rather a long process of urbanization, political decentralization, and cultural continuity. As anthropologist Arthur Demarest explains, we try to make models of cultures as neat and tidy as possible. We say they collapsed because of X, Y, and Z, but these are models. Reality is messy. The Maya didn't collapse. They were defeated. By centuries of drought, they suffered dramatic population decline, and then they recovered and carried on, but in a new way of life. A major part of the Maya collapse was the abandonment of great cities and the shift to living in smaller, less dense settlements. So let's take a look at one of those cities. The ancient city of Palenque was founded around 200 BC, although archaeological evidence suggests people have lived here since 1400 BC. It was abandoned in the 8th century AD, but the reason why remains a mystery. Was it the changing political landscape, the fluctuating climate, or something else entirely? First, let's explore the city's origins. Back in 2019, researchers used LIDAR scanning to uncover the full extent of Palenque. LIDAR technology uses lasers to penetrate jungle foliage and reveal hidden structures. It found a huge network of low mounds buried under the forest floor. These mounds turned out to be the remnants of the city's foundation. They discovered that Palenque started out as a small settlement, built on top of an even older structure dating back to the classic Maya period, between 250 and 900 AD. But unlike other Maya cities which grew quickly, Palenque grew slowly and steadily. The city didn't really take off until the late pre-classic period, about 1,000 years before the Maya collapse. During this time, the political climate shifted again. Rulers no longer claimed divine appointment, but they did claim total domination of nearby sites. Kings like Pakal the Great ruled during this golden age of Palenque, building magnificent palaces and temples and waging successful wars. However, droughts caused massive crop failures throughout the region. And in some places, farmers were forced to abandon their lands. The Maya adapted by developing sophisticated agricultural techniques to work around the dry season. For example, they built reservoirs and terraced farmlands and planted drought-resistant crops. But by the end of the 8th century, the Maya civilization seemed to have imploded. According to archaeologist Stephen Houston, the classic Maya states broke down because of competing demands for water resources. Each Maya city drew water from nearby rivers, so growth was limited. Palenque's demise likely stemmed from this too. But what's interesting is that its decline wasn't sudden. Instead, it happened gradually over several centuries. And yet it still remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in archaeology. So what can we learn from these ancient civilizations? Well, first, we can learn about the importance of adapting to our environment. Both the Maya and Native Americans changed their agricultural practices to fit the dry conditions of the Yucatan Peninsula. Second, we can learn about the limits of urban growth. Both Palenque and Tikal eventually reached a point where they couldn't support themselves. And third, we can learn about the dangers of political instability. When the Maya lost faith in their leaders, the civilization began to fall apart. In conclusion, the ancient Maya civilization is one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in archaeology. Their collapse is a reminder that even great civilizations can fall if they don't adapt to their environment. Now it's time to ask you, what do you think happened to the Maya? Let us know in the comments below. And thanks for watching.